Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, everybody. How is it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Happy Monday. I hope you had a wonderful weekend if you're listening to this on Monday. I am feeling so good. I am officially done my program. I am a free woman from school, and I'm so excited about it. It's been a very intensive year for me, and it's done. I'm in the real world now, and I'm just super excited about it. And I'm feeling good, so I hope you're feeling good and positive as well. I am back to help you live your life to the happiest and the fullest. So today I have lots of great information to share with you. We're going to be talking all about self-care. Self-care is such a common term these days. You know, it is. There's so much to do with self-care all over social media, all over everything. It's huge because it is so important. And today I'm going to be talking about self-care for your mind, body, and your soul. And self-care can look different for each person. You know, everyone kind of has their own version of self-care, or everyone has their own version of health, really, in general, to be honest. So today I thought that I would just give you some kind of basic, tiny things that you can implement into your life for your mind, body, and soul. So it's not just, self-care isn't just taking a bubble bath and reading a book. There's so much more to it, and there's so many different types of self-care for your mind, your body, and your soul. And everyone's different. Like I said, everyone's going to have different kind of self-care routines. But if you start to actually implement just tiny little routines into your life, that are self-care, it can make such a world of a difference. And, sometimes I don't like some of the things that I see on social media about self-care because it's, I'll just take a bubble bath and relax and move on. There's so much more to that than just, of course, take a bubble bath and read a book. That's relaxing. That's great. I'm not saying that isn't self-care, but there's so many other things that you can do, to exercise your mind and to better yourself in the long run. And practicing self-care consistently can make a huge difference in how happy and fulfilled you are in life. And that's exactly what this podcast is about. So self-care is so important to talk about. So I'm just going to be giving you kind of just little mini tips, basically, that you can implement into your life. And I think a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about today, they can be easily integrated to our normal routines already. And the more consistent you are with self-care, then, the less you're going to have to, plan a whole week to just relax, right? If we can consistently practice taking care of ourselves, it makes such a difference for our lives. So I'm going to be going through tiny kind of self-care ideas for your mind, your body, and your soul. So I'm going to be breaking those up into 3 different categories for you so you can be very specific. Because if, maybe you just need self-care for your body for a little bit, but maybe then, in a few weeks you need something for your mind a little bit more. Self-care comes in so many different forms. So I thought I would break it up into mind, body, and soul so you can focus on what you need to focus on, and hopefully integrate these tips into your life. So I'm going to be separating those for you. And then what I'm also going to be doing, just doing some general self-care talk as well at the very end of the episode. I'm going to give you a couple of books that I really enjoy myself for self-care, self-awareness, self-love, all that good stuff to be living your life to the happiest and the fullest. I have two main books that have done a world of a difference for me. I think they're super helpful. You know, there's so many self-help books out there. But I don't know. These two for me have been really helpful. I've really enjoyed reading them, and I think that they can make a huge difference in a lot of people's lives. So I will be sharing those with you at the end of today's episode, but let's just jump right into it. I got lots of information to share within this time frame, so let's do it. So basically, if you don't know what self-care is, it is literally taking care of yourself. It is self-explanatory. You are wanting to reduce your stress, enhance your well-being, achieve a sense of inner peace, and really appreciating and understanding your mind, body, and soul. It's not just about getting a massage or taking a bubble bath. It is basically any action that you take to preserve and improve your health, your wellness, your happiness, and your fulfillment. So, we've heard the saying before, you can't pour from an empty cup or put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. These are self-care. This is self-care exactly, because you cannot take care of others if you do not take care of yourself first. When you ever are on an airplane and they say, make sure that you put your oxygen mask on before assisting others, they mean that because if something happens to you and you get knocked out or whatever the case is, you cannot help anyone then, right? So you got to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. And finding a self-care routine can be quite difficult at first because, we're often worried about taking care of everyone else around us. That is just human nature. Especially, if you're in a relationship or you have your family and, you have other people to focus and worry about, it can be really easy to always put those people first instead of putting yourself first. But it's so, so crucial to take care of yourself, because if you don't properly take care of yourself and your well-being and your health, your happiness, your fulfillment, all of that kind of stuff, you are not going to be the person that you need to be to take care of others. If you are a mother or a father, you cannot take care of your children unless you are really in a good state as well, right? It goes full circle. You cannot take care of your partner in your relationship unless you are in a good state as well and that you are taking care of yourself. So it goes both ways, and it's just so, so important to practice self-care and find a routine that works for you. So when we are there for ourselves, when we show up for ourselves, that's when we can fully show up for others as well. We can be present. We can be the best person that we are. Have you ever tried to give advice to someone when you're just not in a good mental state? It's you really want to help them, but you're I shouldn't even be giving you this advice because I can't listen to it. I'm not, do you know what I mean? So you got to make sure that you are in a good place, taking care of yourself so that we can take care of others, because that's human nature and we want to, right? We want to take care of those people that we love and that we care about. So, but we also need to love and take care of ourselves, and that should be number one priority first of all. And I know not all the time you can always put yourself first, but especially if you are really focusing on personal growth and self-development and self-love in general, it's really important to find the time to put yourself first and to prioritize yourself, because it is okay to be selfish for a while, when you're really trying to focus on yourself and better your overall well-being and your mental health and all those different things, right? It's okay to put yourself first. And then, of course, when life goes on and other people are into your life and you want to take care of others, it goes both ways. And sometimes we have to put others first too. If you have a family, you have a spouse, whatever the case is, you know what I mean. But practicing self-care, finding a routine that works for you is so, so crucial, because you will not show up for anyone else unless you show up for yourself. So basically just simple routines or things that nourish your mind, your body, and your soul. Okay, and there's proactive self-care and then there's reactive self-care. So proactive self-care would be making a point to schedule in your regular self-care time each week and making it a routine that way, literally scheduling it into your routine or into your schedule and figuring out exactly kind of, okay, I'm going to do this on Thursdays, do that, blah, 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 whatever the case is. And then reactive self-care is when you find yourself becoming stressed or when you feel that your soul, is being depleted. And then you turn to self-care activities to replenish those good vibes and to make yourself feel better. So it goes both ways. I think you should definitely implement both because we can't always just schedule when we need self-care. And the more that we integrate little simple tips of self-care, then the less we're going to need to be a reactive self-care because we're already taking care of yourself. But that doesn't mean that, you're not going to have a time where you need that reactive self-care, where all of a sudden something happened and you know that you need some time to take care of yourself, to replenish your soul and feel better all around. Okay, so proactive and reactive, we need to implement both of those things into our lives and finding those tiny little things that we can implement. So with a little bit of attention to our own self-care, like the fog will lift in your life. You're going to feel more connected to yourself, also the world around you. You'll feel happy with small pleasures and nothing will seem quite as difficult as it did before because you have a good base, you have a good mental standing, you feel good about yourself. And, it's literally like a car. You must keep yourself tuned up to make sure that you don't do a complete breakdown, right? You got to tune yourself up. You got to keep up with your own maintenance. And incorporating just these tiny self-care ideas into your day will help keep you in tune. Okay, so it is time for a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere because when we get back, I'm going to jump right in on tiny self-care ideas for your mind and then your body and your soul. And don't forget, at the end of today's episode, I will be talking about the 2 books that have helped me with my self-care, my self-awareness, and my self-love. So stay tuned. I will be right back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Jo. We're talking all about self-care today. It is such a broad subject. There's so much to do with self-care, but it's so crucial and so important, and that's why I want to talk to you about it today. I'm going to break it up into 3 different sections: your mind, your body, and your soul. Because there is not just like one general self-care thing that you can do for everything. I feel like sometimes we do need to target a certain aspect of our life or a certain area in our life. And these are just tips that you can kind of target those areas. So let's start with your mind, okay? Some of these might seem cheesy, some of these might seem ridiculous, but I promise you, if you start to implement these small things into your life, it will make such a huge difference. So, number 1 is start a compliments file, okay? Document the great things that people say about you, and that you can read them later. I have like a little box. It's like my happy box, and I have like little things that like people have said to me, or like if someone has like written me a note, or like something, just like little positive messages. Like if someone complimented me on something that like I've never thought of, or like I've never had that compliment before, and it like made me feel really good, I'll write it down and I'll put it in my happy box. And this is kind of like a compliments file for me. It's just like this little box that if I'm feeling low or I'm not feeling, the perky Alyssa Jo that I usually am, I will go to my happiness box, read some of the nice things that people have said to me, or people have written me, or just like feel good memories. Like my box is filled with just things that make me happy. And sometimes it's hard to pull that box out and read those things. But once you do, like, it just makes you feel so good, and it's just like that. It's a boost of confidence, a boost of happiness. Like you just feel good. So start a happiness box or a compliments file, and just put in all those things that are going to make you feel good. So when you're feeling low, you can whip out that box, whip out that file, and read those things. The next thing for your mind is to check something off a bucket list or on your to-do list, okay? Something that has been there for ages that you've been kind of dreading to do maybe or scared to do, and it's been there for a really long time on your to-do list or your bucket list, whatever it is, and check it off. Go do it. Go do that hard task or that thing that scares you. This is so good for your mind because it teaches you that you can overcome these things. You can push through it. You can do those difficult tasks. You can do the things that scare you, and it's like the best feeling afterwards. It's like really hard to get yourself to do it sometimes, but once you check that off, it's like this weight lifted off your shoulders and your mind just feels good about it. You feel good that you were able to do that for yourself. My next one is change up the way that you make decisions. So decide something with your heart instead of using your head sometimes. Or if you tend to go with your heart, decide with your head. And I know this sounds weird because I always say trust your gut and focus, what you're truly feeling inside. But sometimes we do need to switch things up because sometimes we get into a routine and maybe we think we're trusting our gut or we think we're making a decision from the right place, but we might not be. And if things aren't going well in your life or there's certain aspects that you don't feel fulfilled in, try to switch up the way that you're viewing them, right? So the way that you're going to make decisions about those. If it's something that's really close to your heart, try to think more logically about it, like within your head. If it's something that's, kind of logical, try to think from a softer point, from your heart. Switch it up a little bit and see what kind of difference that makes for your life. Pay attention to something you usually do kind of on autopilot. What I mean by this is like something that you just do naturally. It's probably a part of your routine. It can be as simple as like brushing your teeth or driving or your morning routine or eating. And pay like complete attention to what you're doing. Like scan your body or scan your mind for these things because sometimes we're brushing our teeth and we kind of doze off into thought. We're not really thinking about anything. Try to focus on what you're doing on a task that is just autopilot. This helps practice your mind to not just let things kind of go by, to fly by, like focus on that present moment, be present for yourself. For simple as brushing your teeth, I know it sounds kind of silly, but then you're really connecting your mind to your body and your soul. Like it's all kind of connecting, and that's really, really good for your mental health. Goof around a bit. That's my next tip. Have fun. Be silly. Set a time in your day where you have, if you can only set 15 minutes, set 15 minutes. If you can set an hour or something like that where you can just be goofy. You can have a dance off with yourself. You can, dance on the kitchen table. I don't care what you're going to do. Be goofy. Have a good time. Dress up in something silly. Play with your makeup. Put your hair in 4 different pigtails everywhere. I don't care what it is, but have some fun with yourself. Be goofy. Mess around a little bit. I feel like we take life so seriously and so busy all the time that we forget to just mess around a little bit. So be goofy and set yourself some time to do that for you. Fix a small annoyance at home that has been nagging you. So this is another thing that can really ease your mind and make you feel good and kind of declutter that a little bit. If there's something in your house that's really, really bothering you or something that you've kind of been dreading to do, this is kind of like checking that thing off your list again, right? Just do it. Just get it done. Clear that out of your mind. There's so many things that we have in the back of our mind or like on our to-do list that we've had for so long, and it's always going to be in the back of your mind until you check that off. And I don't know about you, I love lists. I love my to-do list. I love checking things off. It is so satisfying for me. It makes me feel so good. That is definitely a self-care thing that I practice quite often, and it really does wonders to your mind because you just feel this cloud being lifted away. Like it just clears things up. So show up for yourself and check those things off so you can fill your mind with more positive and enhancing thoughts and good things that you need to be thinking about. Not all those nagging things around the house or on your to-do list that you just haven't quite got the time to do. So do speaking of decluttering, like your mind, literally do a declutter of your house, of your wardrobe, of, all those different kind of things. Declutter everything. This is just going to move that cloud away from you once again. And then last thing for your mind too is get out of your comfort zone. So even if it's just like talking to a stranger at a bus stop, as simple as that, do something outside of your comfort zone. Show that you can show up for yourself, you know, show that you have that confidence to do those things, because that is so, so important. And just do it, you know, you just push outside your comfort zone. I always say that we grow outside of our comfort zone, and it's so good for our mind, our body, and our soul, but especially our mind, because it just proves to ourselves that we can do anything. When we set our mind to it, we can do it. Now I know I said that, that was the last one, but I lied. My next one for you is just unplug for an hour. This is the last one for your mind. Unplug for an hour. So switch everything to airplane mode. Free yourself from constant bangs on social media and your email. Unplug everything. Media, internet, everything, TV, silence. Sit in the silence. And you can sit in the silence in your house. If you're able to go outdoors, I suggest going outdoors, but just unplug. Do not let your phone beep. You're going to be fine for an hour. No one is going to absolutely need you in an hour. You can unplug and you can just let yourself relax. We're so occupied by our cell phones and by our computers and just the internet in general these days that is so, so healthy to just let yourself unplug, unwind, and just be present with yourself. And really, you know, then you're alone with your thoughts. You don't have to think about anything on social media or the internet or work. You're just alone with your thoughts, and that is so, so helpful for yourself. All right, so those are the tips that I have for your mind. I'm going to give you a few tips for your body before we take another break. So the number one tip for your body, I shouldn't say the number one. The first tip for taking care of your body and practicing self-care is give your body 10 minutes of mindful attention. So this means the body scan technique to check in with each of your body parts. Start from your head to your toes to your head, it doesn't matter. But mentally scan your body. Okay, pay attention to everything. How are you feeling? Are your shoulders tense? Are your shoulders raised a little bit? Are your knees kind of, you know, are they collapsed? Do you feel like you're collapsed? Do you feel weak? How are your arms? Are you sore? Is your head hurt? Do your toes hurt when you wiggle them? I don't know, whatever it is, scan every single inch of your body with your mind. This is really going to connect your mind and your body, and this is really, really good for your body and for your mind. But because you can connect so well with your body parts, you might find, maybe I really do need to go for a massage. I can really feel those knots in my back, or I feel really tense, and that's probably causing me some headaches, and maybe that's causing me some anxiety, and blah, 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 full circle, it goes around. So do a full body scan, and it is so, so helpful. The next one is oxygenate by taking 3 deep breaths. Taking deep breaths is huge for self-care. It's huge for, in general, to take care of yourself, but breathe into your abdomen and then let the air puff out your stomach and your chest. Do this 3 times. Do this 10 times. Take these deep breaths. Let your body fill with that oxygen and then release. It is so, so good for your body. It just relaxes you completely. You're going to notice your shoulders going down and just feeling more connected to your body as well. Okay, so it's time for a little bit of a break, but when we get back, I'm going to finish up the self-care ideas for your body. Then we'll jump into the self-care ideas for your soul, and then I will round off today's episode with sharing those 2 books that I really enjoyed for my own self-care. So yeah, lots to share still. Stay tuned. I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. Hello, we're on the last stretch of today's episode. I got lots more information to share with you. We're talking all about self-care for your mind, your body, and your soul. Let me finish off the tips I have for your body before jumping into the tips I have for your soul. And then, like I said, I'm going to round today's episode off with a couple books that I quite enjoy for my self-care. So the next tip I have for you for your body is dance. Dance, 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 dance. Put on one of your favorite tunes, dance in your living room like no one's watching, have so much fun. This is going to let your body just get loose, get connected, feel good in your skin, like just feel good for yourself. Dance around, feel free. It is so much fun. You're going to relieve so much stress by doing this. Even if you don't feel like dancing, get up, put on a good tune. That's the key to it. Put on a good tune that you love, that you can't resist dancing to. Get up and boogie. It is super helpful. Stretch. Stretch. I know this is my next tip for you. And so I could go off about, going for a run, going for a walk, and doing all those physical things for your mind, your body, and your soul, because it's so good for all of them. And I think that is a great self-care tip that you should do if that is your thing. I practice those quite often. But another thing that I think you should do, even if you're not a super physical and active person, is stretching. You're really connecting to your muscles when you stretch. Really try to be mindful. Put on some meditation music or some relaxing music while you do it, and pay attention to each muscle and thing that you are doing while you are stretching. This is just letting you connect to your body, every kind of inch of it, and really feeling good about that. So stretch when you can. Narrow your food choices. This is good for your mind and your body and your soul as well, all of them. So pick 2 healthy breakfasts, 2 lunches, and 2 dinners, and rotate them for a week. This sounds weird, kind of, but it's really, really good self-care, actually, because first of all, you're kind of giving yourself a little bit of discipline with these healthy meals, and you will probably feel different. Pick those healthy meals that are very, nutrient dense and feel good and will give you lots of energy, and it's good for your body to just completely fuel yourself with those things for that week or that 2 weeks, whatever you want to do. This is also good for your mind and your soul as well. All of these tips I feel like can go into kind of 3 categories if you look at them in a certain way. But anyways, okay, so let's continue. The next thing is activating your self-soothing system. Now, this sounds weird, and it might feel weird, but you stroke your own arm. Or if that feels weird, put moisturizer on or something. I know this, it sounds weird, but this, self-soothing is so good for your body and your mind too. So just moisturize your body. It sounds weird, I know, but it's a really, really good self-care thing to be connected to your body and make yourself feel good. Get 15 minutes of sun, especially if you're in a cold climate. Of course, use sunscreen if you need to use sunscreen, but getting in that sunlight, being outside, that is super, super helpful. That sunlight is going to boost that happiness levels, so get outside and do that. Have a good laugh. Laughter is so contagious. It is so powerful. Have a good laugh for yourself. Let yourself just feel good. It's going to boost your serotonin levels by just having that good laugh. Watch a funny movie, talk to a funny friend, look at memes on Instagram. I don't care how you get your laugh in, just get your laugh in. It is so good for you. And then take a nap. Even a 20-minute nap. I am the queen of 20-minute power naps. That's how I lived through school. I loved my 20-minute power naps, and I could just pass out, wake up in 20 minutes, and feel refreshed. I know at first you kind of wake up maybe a little groggy, I could sleep for another 4 hours, but don't. Get yourself out of it after 20 minutes. This is just letting your body and your mind rest for those 20 minutes, but not enough to really put you into that REM sleep, that deep sleep, so that you aren't going to kind of waste away your day, but it's just kind of going to reboot your body, give your body that time to rest, recuperate, and then get back to work or whatever that you're doing. So those are my tips I have for your body. Now let's jump into the tips I have for your soul. Imagine that you are your best friend. Or imagine imagine you're your best friend. So if you were, what would you tell yourself right now? Look in the mirror and say that. So what would you say if you were your very best friend? What would you say to your best friend? And then say that to yourself. My next one is use your commute for a beauty scavenger hunt. This sounds weird, but find 5 unexpected unexpected, beautiful things on your way to work. This is appreciating your surrounding. It's appreciating the things that you enjoy to the things that you love. Just even as simple as your daily commute to work. Find 5 beautiful things while you're on that. Maybe it's like a cool tree that you always drive by and you've never really taken the time to appreciate it. Or, I don't know, anything. It could be anything, but this is really good for your soul because you're just connecting to those beautiful things around you. And it just helps connect all of that together. The next one is help somebody. Carry a bag, open a door, pick up an extra carton of milk for your neighbor, whatever the case is. Be that good Samaritan. Do a random act of kindness. Pay for the person's coffee in the drive-thru behind you, whatever it is. This is so good for your soul. Check in with your emotions. Sit quietly and just name your emotions without any judgment with what you're feeling. This is really good with self-reflection. Write in your journal. Write your emotions down, why you could be feeling that way, when you're feeling that way, who are you surrounded by when you feel that way. Reflection, reflection, reflection. Which goes into my next tip, write your thoughts. Go for 15 minutes on anything that's bothering you. Write this stuff down. Get it out. It is just going to declutter your mind, your soul, everything. Just write those things down. I always suggest as well, pencil to paper. It is so much helpful than a keyboard. So pick up your pencil, pick up your pen, and just start writing your thoughts down. Get positive feedback. Ask 3 friends to tell you what they love about you. If that's really what you need that boost of that confidence, that feel-good feedback, there is nothing wrong with that. Ask the people that care about you, that love you, say, what do you love about me? What's your favorite part about me? What makes you laugh about me? What makes you feel good when you're around me? Those type of things. It makes you feel good. And then write them down and put them in your happy box. Ask for help. This is going to be my last tip for you. I have 2 more tips for you. Ask for help, big or small, but just reach out. This is good for your soul that, first of all, you're letting yourself ask for help. You're letting yourself be vulnerable that way, especially if you're somebody that doesn't like to ask for help. You like to do everything on your own. Reach out and ask for help. Be connected to those around you. Let yourself feel that it is okay to reach out and need help. This is super, super good for your soul. And then my last tip for you is just plan a 2-day holiday. It could be a weekend. You could go on a camping trip. You can go stay in an Airbnb somewhere. You could do whatever you want. You could be camping in your backyard. I don't really care. Plan a little mini holiday for yourself. Unwind. I would highly suggest unplugging from all internet sources and the social media world and just letting yourself be there. But sometimes we just really need to take that 2-day break, that holiday break, and let ourselves completely relax. And this is so important for our mind, our body, and our soul. I love this tip. I am actually on my way tomorrow to a little secluded cabin completely by myself. I'm doing a little solo trip, and I'm just going there to relax and to take care of myself after my big school year. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm super, super excited about it. I'm going to unplug, unwind, and just take care of myself. So I highly suggest doing that for yourself. It makes a world of a difference. Okay, so there are your tips for your mind, your body, and your soul. To round it up, basically I want to just kind of round it up in three simple things. Slow down the world around you, prioritize yourself, create that positive environment, and then do things that bring you joy. I feel like those are the basic things when it comes to self-care, but there's so many little things that you can implement into your life. So take all these tips, take some of them, take none of them, just try to remember to practice self-care every single chance that you can and to implement that routine into your life because you will find a huge difference in your overall well-being. Okay, so now like I promised, I said I would sum up today's episode with talking about 2 books that have helped me with my self-care and my self-love and awareness. So the first one is The Big Activity Book for Anxious People. It's by Jordan Reed and Aaron Williams. It's kind of like a part journal, part coloring book. It's kind of like weird coping mechanisms. There's like some facts in it. But it's really, really great as an outlet for anyone who wants to take a break from reality a little bit, laugh through your own fears, realize, that every page, you're not alone. It's just going to help you figure out what to do, when it's 3 a.m. and you got a million thoughts running through. This book was really cool because it's not just a read. It's actually it's a practice. practice as well. Like, you can write in it, you can learn these coping mechanisms, you can discover things about yourself, and this was just a really good self-care, self-awareness kind of practice that I did, and I found it super helpful. And then the next one is a book that I read. It's called Girl, Wash Your Face. So it says, stop believing the lies about who you are so you can become who you were meant to be. And it's by Rachel Hollis. And I just really like the way that she wrote this book. She wrote it from such a raw, real place. I find, like, I felt really connected to her with it, and I felt like all of the tips were just very relatable, and the things that she talked about, and it's just the way that she said the things. I found them super helpful for my own self-awareness and self-love. So those are the two books that I highly suggest to practice self-care. If you're into reading and reflecting and doing all those things, go onto Amazon. These books are available on there, as well as, like, even if you just want to go into, like, your local bookstore, there's so many, like, self-care workbooks that you can do that are for your mind, your body, and your soul, where they'll ask you specific questions. Like, if you're not somebody that really likes to just, like, write in a journal because you, like, don't really know what to write, or you, like, don't really know what to reflect on, like, you have a hard time thinking of those things, getting a workbook can be super helpful. It literally just asks you questions. It's like, you know, name things that you're grateful for in this aspect of your life, or talk about a time where you felt alone, or talk about a time where you felt really anxious, or whatever the case is. And I have a few different workbooks that I like to slowly work through when I feel like I need to, or when I feel like I don't have the inspiration just to write in my own journal. But it's kind of cool. So if you don't like to, you know, think of your own things to write about, pick up a workbook and answer the questions in there. It's super helpful for your self-care, your self-awareness, and just practicing that for yourself. So those are my suggestions for you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. I so appreciate you being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please do not forget to head over to that subscribe button. Click it. Head over to our social media pages. Like and follow. And then, as always, leave a 5-star review. It makes a world of a difference, and I love reading them. So thank you for being here. Stay happy, stay healthy, and practice self-care. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.